YouTube, what's good? It's your boy, Paulus Harris, aka Medusa. Hey, look, if this is your first time tuning in, go ahead, hit the doggone subscribe button. Hit the doggone notification bell every time I post up new content. Hey, my thoughts on the selection 2020, and I actually already said state of emergency, right? Now, here's the deal why I said state of emergency, right? Because while everybody else is focusing on trying to get President Trump out of the house, how many of y'all actually really remembered that it was right around the same time when the coronavirus actually really started picking up picking up steam? President Trump declared the nation state of emergency. Now, I actually really went back and looked at some of the rules that either the president have and that what he don't have, right? And for the most part, for what I found out, and then if anybody acts like really is going to watch this show, either while it's going on live right now, or after you actually really watch it, and then go back, look at the research, tell me what powers does the president have and don't have during the state of emergency? Because what I just found out, right, that you could be like, okay, well, he can use the state of emergency by the federal laws that are actually really been wrote down, right? Now, for the most part, you can actually really look at that and be like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna do this, right? And then I can actually really make it sound in such a way that if I really wanted to postpone, if I wanted to postpone the election, I only did it because cause this is what the fuck they do on other YouTube channels, right? And then if you have to really go back and just pay attention to what Trump has been saying the whole time, right? He's been telling y'all that the election he's telling you that it was going to be fraudulent right out the gate. So they should have told you something like, so that should have been where like, okay, well, damn, you know what? Why the fuck would he say that? It got to be a reason why he said that, right? So now again, you got to look at it like this. Why else would he sit up and holler about, oh, he got his lawyers together, he's going to demand a recount, right? So you always got to ask yourself, okay, why would he say something of that magnitude? And it's not because he felt like that, President Trump actually really felt like that he was going to lose. That was never the case. But when he did that state of emergency, right? Loopholes are a motherfucker. That's what the lawyer. Great video title. Okay, there, Mike. I appreciate that. So basically, what I'm saying is that first and foremost, why would you actually really put the country in a state of emergency in the first place, right? Because all of this is actually really due to the so-called COVID-19 pandemic. And those of us that actually really know what the fuck is going on, right? We already know ain't no such thing as it's no such animal. It is no such animal. People die more from heart disease and gang violence than they do goddamn COVID-19, right? Something that these motherfuckers is actually really just put out there, right? All of this stuff is nothing more than training exercises for the elite. For those of y'all that actually really know what the fuck went down in 2015 with the Jade Ham 15, right? They was practicing there. So let's go ahead and let's fast forward that shit like 2 and some change, right? Like 4 and some change. And what happens over in Wuhan, China? Oh, the coronavirus, point of origin, right there. So now you guys really got to ask yourself, okay, well, how did it travel so goddamn fast for the most part, right? And then you also got to be able to look at, okay, well, hey, guess what? It could be a strong possibility. People over here getting infected. Is X amount of people getting on the airplane. 9 times out of 10, they actually really got it. It was too easy to make that goddamn phone call. But for the most part, I'm not going to sit up here and say that the phone call wasn't made. I'm not going to sit up here and say this. But if you actually really stop and think about it for a minute, if the phone call was made, it probably was said, hey, look, we have planted the seed. Now we finna send it to y'all, right? Because it's, so again, you gotta look at it like this. You know, they doing mail-in. They did early voting, right? Well, guess what? Early voting has been around forever and a day because people was doing it when I was over in Germany. They was doing early voting there. So for the most part, this is not nothing new. Anytime when doggone you put shit down on paper, right? And depending on how the piece of paper is actually really designed, right? Whether you actually really gotta physically count that shit or you run it through the scanner, you know, it's always gonna be problems with the doggone mail-in, with the mail-in ballot, right? Because just know there's a lot of grown motherfuckers out there that can't count past 5, right? And then even then, they really don't do a good goddamn job of doing it then. So Trump knows this. But like I say, a lot of motherfuckers want Trump out of there. But it's just like what I told y'all previously, right? Be careful of who the fuck you try to run out your house. Be careful and who the fuck you try to bring in your house. 2 different types of shit. One scented, one unscented. But just know, both of them are piles of shit. The only difference is that you can't smell one of them. Or it could be just for the simple fact that the stench from, let's just say for shits and giggles, that this is a pile of shit right here. And then you get something else. Hold on. So, and no, don't actually take this the wrong goddamn way, people. So here's a pile of shit. This shit smells. Here's another pile of shit. That shit don't smell. Now, for the most part, you can actually really stop and think about it, where the stench is so strong from this pile of shit that you actually really think that both piles of shit actually really got a scent to itself. And that ain't the goddamn case, people. That is not the goddamn case. So then, like I said, President Trump put this country state of emergency due to a bullshit virus. So let's just look at this right fast, right? A bullshit virus, a bullshit election, paid for by whom? The goddamn New World Order. But it's just like what I tell y'all, right? Everybody, these motherfuckers, they already know who the fuck they want in office. Because guess what? And you can actually really go back and watch some of my other shows. I said this, put like this, flies, right? They love fresh shit, right? That's all what the fuck this is. So here's a nice big pile of fresh shit. And guess what all you motherfuckers did? Y'all went and dived because y'all ain't nothing more than flies, right? Y'all dived on that fresh shit. Not really knowing that what you actually really smelling is what the motherfucker did 3 days ago. So like I said, go back, look at the stipulations of when the country's in a state of emergency, right? I mean, even then, you know, from what I saw, a lot of that stuff, okay, it's put like this, it's questionable, right? But then you actually really got to stop and ask yourself, okay, well, why would Trump say that this would be the most bullshit election ever? Why would he say that, not knowing what the fuck he did previously? Because just like I said, I told you, he put the nation in a state of emergency because of the coronavirus. And what did everybody see yesterday? Yeah, you went to go vote, but you had your goddamn mask on. You had your mask on the whole motherfucking time. Not really knowing what the fuck is going on. But you know, and then I know what a lot of y'all gonna say, well, hey, look, we need to go out there and get the motherfucking people back to work, right, as soon as possible. And in some cases that, you know, that was the case. But here's the deal. Now, unless I missed it, I don't recall the state of the state of emergency being lifted. Matter of fact, I mean, but if you actually go out and look at what the fuck is happening, then apparently the state of emergency that was initiated by President Trump was never lifted. Right? And it's just for the simple fact that what I always tell y'all, your vote never counts for any goddamn thing anyway. So why the fuck did you actually carry yourself to the election booth to do what? Like, seriously. Everybody wants it about, oh, go vote. It's your civil duty. Really, motherfucker? If it was really my civil duty to go vote, then civil or human duty to go vote, then why come is it that we as so-called black folks couldn't vote until the 1965 Voting Acts right was passed? But then I'm gonna tell you something what my man Dane Calloway said, right? You go back and look at when slavery actually like was supposed to have went down, right? And they tell you then. They tell you then, right? That was slavery, but John Hanson, which is on the back of a $2 bill, Hiram Revels, or no, is it Hiram Revels or Hiram Nevels, right? He was the first so-called black person to be awarded a seat in the United States Senate. Now, like I said, slavery was from, let them tell it, 1619 to 1864 or 65, right? But these motherfuckers, right, not even 5 years later, they in office, right? So then again, you gotta ask yourself, okay, here's a so-called black man, a so-called black man that was supposed to be a slave at that particular time, right? So how the fuck he actually really get in the White House? Or how the fuck did he actually really get to get that Senate seat, right? Because like I said, as a slave, you weren't allowed to read, you weren't allowed to read, you weren't allowed to write, you weren't allowed to do none of that shit. All what the fuck you were supposed to do, these idiots don't understand. Hold on, what you say? These idiots don't understand that when they go to the, yeah, I got you. Because like I said, these motherfuckers, they already know. They already know who the fuck is gonna be in office. And it's just for the simple fact, right? It really wouldn't surprise me none. It really wouldn't surprise me none. Well, and again, I've said this plenty of times, right? Being president of the United States is no more than pulling goddamn staff duty or CQ duty when the shit is 24 hours, right? The motherfucker that you're relieving, he briefs you on what happened on his or her shift, and then once your 24 hours is over, guess what the fuck you finna do? You finna brief the next coming motherfucker, right? So I just look at it like this. That shit was already in play once Trump actually really took office. He had really set out and the motherfucker told, hey, okay, look, this is what the fuck you need to do. And this is what the fuck you gonna do regardless. Right? So again, y'all went out to go vote it. Y'all went out and voted. What the fuck for? And like I said, now unless President Trump actually really lifted the state of emergency, right? Then all of the votes, whether it was motherfucking mailed in or you actually really went to the motherfucking voting booth, guess what? Your shit was non-violent. It was non-violent. But, and then y'all wonder why this shit is going on, because like 4 years ago, this wasn't the case. 8 years ago, this wasn't the case. Right? The only time that for the most part that this was the case was 20 years ago when Bush Jr. was going up against Al Gore. And it was the same shit, just like what I told y'all earlier in the show, right? They've been doing absentee ballots forever and a day. So now you got to ask yourself, okay, well, how many actually really knew about that shit that happened back in 2000? How many people know? Because I'm going to tell you, it's probably going to be next to none, Because a lot of you motherfuckers out there can't remember what the fuck you did just a couple of hours ago, let alone 20 years ago. I mean, great fact, it wasn't no state of emergency then. But not even a year and change later, we know that 9/11 happened. And that was a goddamn inside job. I will always say that. 9/11 was a motherfucking inside job. Just like every election has been a motherfucking inside job. So eventually, y'all will catch it. And be like, you know what? This is bullshit. This is straight up bullshit, people. But like I said, how many people actually really, that can actually really sit down and really look at it and be like, you know what, I'm gonna call bullshit. State of emergency, people. Go look it up. Go look at what the president can and can't do. And then look at what the president can and can't do during the goddamn election. Right? I'm just gonna tell you, you might have to look for it. You might have to look for it, right? Or you might have to actually really, draw, you might actually like really have to draw your own conclusion. Yeah, again, Mike, I hear you. Psychological warfare every day. And then here's something else. Here's something else that actually really cracked me up last night. Everybody holler about, well, here comes another civil war. Well, guess what? The first one ain't even ended yet. Right? Motherfuckers want to actually really tell you, hey, practice social distancing. Well, goddamn it, we was doing that already. Right? At least some of us, because of what the fuck was taught to us. Whether it was in the goddamn educational system, or whether it was something that the fuck your parents told you. Right? So social distancing was never the case because we've been practicing that shit for years. So like I say, so you gotta ask yourself, okay, so what the fuck is actually really going on here? What the fuck do they actually like? What is the agenda? Now, I'm not asking this question to people that already know. I'm actually really talking to everybody that, for the most part, is the first time on my goddamn channel, and I'm talking about this, right? Hopefully, your buddy then actually really tuned you on to motherfucking Apollos Harris, right? So basically, what I'm trying to tell y'all is this, right? They try to do a repeat. Well, ain't no trying to it. They are doing it. They doing a repeat of what the fuck happened 20 years ago. Right? Great the fact. I really don't know what was the main. Well, I know that Ebola and the SARS was out around about the 02, 03 time frame. Right? But you actually really got to stop and think about it for a minute. The election was already over with. So that really don't count. And then even then, that shit was motherfucking staged. So this is nothing more than a goddamn training exercise for everybody. They try to actually really be like, okay, damn, these motherfuckers actually really came out to vote with their mask on, not really knowing that, hey, you just motherfucking proving our point. Just like I said, people, be careful who the fuck you want in your house or who you want out your house. And then actually really be careful of who the fuck you bringing into your house. Plain and simple. A lot of y'all ain't actually really goddamn paying attention. Plain and simple. Right? So, I could I could go on, but I think I actually already beat it up just enough where that anybody can actually watch this, other than my man Mike, right? I hope you actually really spread the word too. So just know that it's gonna be a while. It's gonna be a while. But you know, it's almost like what I said earlier. That motherfucker shit on the floor. Because he know that, and you know, and for the most part, everybody was watching him shit on the floor. But didn't nobody do anything. Right? And so guess what? So now here comes Trump saying, well, you know what? This finna be the most fucked up election ever. Why? Because he shitted on the floor. Or somebody actually really told him to shit on the floor. Right? State of emergency. You shit on the floor. And then we got a goddamn election due to state of emergency. But like I said, go back and look at the goddamn laws on what the president can't do and what he can do under the state of emergency. Right? So with that being said, tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell Big Dan, tell Big Bertha, tell your uncle, your auntie, your grandma, your pawpaw, motherfucker next door, cross street round the corner. Paulus Harris, aka the Medusa. Till next time.